This is the Sunday stream opening song because the other song is copyrighted. La 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 la. Oh look, here comes Dog Cat Fox.
Hi, Sky.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday stream. The stream I do on Sundays because Sunday is the day to stream on Sundays. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Sunday morning. It's actually quite nice out this morning. Right? Kind of sunny. The clouds are still kind of burning off. And it's not cold. Oh, thank goodness it's not cold. It's actually been pretty temperate the last couple of days, which I've appreciated. Who knows how long it'll last, but we'll see. I hope wherever you are, it is comfortable and that you are cozy. So hope it's been a good week. It's been a busy week. It's month-end week. Now we're into the new month. March already. March of 2025. Already into the third month of the new year. Holy cow, time goes by. But who's joining me on this momentarily reflective Sunday morning? Mike R. Good morning. The Alexander. Good morning. Random American. Hello. Keeverdam, hello, and thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing the link to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society donation page, everybody. If you can take a look at that, it's pinned to the top of the chat box. If you're able to donate, please do so, but even if you can't, if you can share that out on social media, that would be appreciated. So thank you ahead of time for that, and thank you, Keeverdam, as always, for providing the link. Snortapupus Cuber, good morning. Snortapupus. Advocatus Diaboli, good morning. Old Guy Gamer, hello. Who else is here? Kay Roberts, good morning to you. Scrolling. Shady Grin, good morning. TF4X, good morning. JB, hello. Brian Morissette, good morning. And Josh Hammond, good morning to you. Somnamnul Nation, good morning. John Trioxin, hello. Who else is here? Anybody else? Full Metal Joker, good morning. Unfair Ophelia, good morning. Jill Powers, the River Daughter, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Pip Bin, good morning. Yeah, boy, now there's a name I haven't said in a long time. Yeah. How's it going? Caught a stream, been ages. I know. I was like, wait a second. I know that name. I've said that name before. I have vocalized those two words before in sequence. A little bit of lizard brain memory going on there. Hope you're doing good. Good morning. The Best Remy, good morning. Anybody else? Brian Duff, good morning. Who else is here? Meh, good morning to you. Carol Soldier, hello. Spittlebuggies, hello. Liesel7, hello. Robert Pincus, good morning. Anybody else? Did I already say Random American, good morning. And anybody else I missed, anybody lurking, anybody in the future, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Well, let's get off with our first story. That sounds like a completely different stream. Let's start with our first story. I think I meant start off with our first story. Something like that. Anyway. The DHS asks the IRS for addresses of people believed to be in the U.S. illegally. I had originally seen this as an ICE story. That's why I think I put on the title ICE. ICE versus IRS, but I guess it's kind of 6 of one thing, half a dozen of the other. The tax agency has so far refused to give immigration enforcement officials home addresses for 700,000 individuals. People familiar with the issue said. DHS also asked for skilled auditors to investigate businesses. Well, now, this is good, in a sense. I'm curious about the privacy aspect of the individuals, but as far as the businesses are concerned, I'd be curious to see how far they get with that one, because businesses that employ people who are in the country illegally really should be gone after, because there's two prongs to the incentives for people coming across the border illegally, and that is that they get here and are provided effectively cover and benefits, but also that there are people here willing and able to employ them, even though that's a crime. Excuse me, Keeverdam, thank you so much. Random American and Susannu are in chat. Well, I said Random American. Did I miss Susannu? Pardon me. Good morning, Susannu. And thank you, Keeverdam, for keeping me on my toes. Appreciate it. Very generous of you. But let's see what they have to say. Internal Revenue Service leaders rejected a recent request from immigration enforcement officials to divulge the home addresses of 700,000 people suspected of being in the country illegally, as police sirens are in the background right now. I don't know if you can hear them, but they're annoying me. Go away. Go after the bad guys. Off in the distance. Yes, fade off. Doppler effect. Go away. Go away. There you go. Good. Rebuffing a Trump administration attempt to leverage the tax service to assist a sweeping immigration crackdown. Okay, so my question is, and maybe the article will answer it, how can the IRS refuse a request for information from another federal agency? Or what is the proper procedure if such were to happen? In a memo obtained by the Washington Post, Department of Homeland Security authorities asked the IRS on Thursday to connect the names of potentially undocumented immigrants with the people's last known addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses. It follows a DHS request roughly 2 weeks ago that would allow immigration officials to provide a list of names to the IRS in hopes of obtaining home addresses from the tax agency, according to 5 people familiar with the situation, who spoke on the condition of anonymity out of fear of professional reprisals. Okay. IRS leaders initially rejected the DHS request, the people said, and are attempting to negotiate terms to assist immigration enforcement officials without violating tax privacy laws. Yeah, I was wondering if it was a privacy situation. Because just because someone's potentially in the country illegally, you could be obviously giving away information of someone who's completely innocent without just cause. So, yes, that makes some kind of sense, I suppose. Also, before it vanishes on the thing, shards of words, pardon me, good morning. And Juliet, good morning to you. Anybody else I missed in the meantime? I hope not. All right. Let's see what they have to say. Let's see. The memo suggested the creation of a team of IRS officials to review taxpayer data so it is not accessed by DHS personnel. Okay, so you have proxies. At the end of the workday Friday, though, a new acting IRS commissioner, Melanie Krause, took over the agency and quickly indicated she was interested in exploring how to comply with the DHS request, 2 of the people said. As of late Friday night, it did not appear that the IRS would immediately be able to turn over the information DHS sought. Okay, so the conflict is they don't want to give the DHS direct access to the information, but if the DHS makes requests, then authorized IRS officials could then audit the information. This Thursday memo also asked the IRS to deploy dozens of highly skilled IRS auditors and criminal investigators to launch probes of businesses suspected of hiring immigrants not authorized to work in the United States. That's a big one. The individuals, that's important, especially if you're looking for people who are known criminals, like violent criminals and risks elsewise. But really, you want to start shutting down and penalizing the businesses that are willing to employ people here in the country illegally, because that is a big draw for people to make it across the border or try to. Quote, IRS investigation should be conducted and assistance should be provided without regard for any threshold, floor, or internal policy for opening an investigation, the memo states. I don't know about that. That sounds, we need some checks and balances. Like, without any kind of regard for hesitancy or anything else. Further, IRS should provide leads on businesses that are circumventing tax laws or violating worksite-related statutes, many of which are from prior leads or complaints that IRS did not investigate due to not meeting internal IRS policy for opening an investigation. Yeah, businesses are a little bit different in my mind than going after individuals. Individuals that may be suspected of something, but auditing businesses to make sure they're in compliance with employment laws and everything else, certainly. That's perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. The memo and requests have prompted deep alarm within the IRS, the people said. Providing taxpayer information to third parties is punishable by civil and criminal penalties, and other government entities are forbidden from ordering tax investigations. People familiar with the DHS's request describe them as Nixonian, referring to how President Richard Milhouse, everything's coming up Milhouse, Richard M. Nixon's administration used the IRS to collect information about perceived enemies. Okay, abuse of the tax system was one of the articles of impeachment filed against Nixon in 1974, though he resigned before impeachment proceeded. Yeah, I guess that would be the balancing act. The IRS has reassured undocumented immigrants for years that their information is confidential and that it would be safe for them to file income tax returns reflecting their earnings without fear of being deported. See, I don't like that either. I have a feeling this is where Congress needs to step in and modify the law. But When some immigrants were rattled about filing taxes after Trump took office in 2017, the IRS said the law doesn't allow the agency to share personal tax information with another government agency. Quote, there is no authorization under this provision to share tax data with ICE, the IRS said then, referring to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, part of the DHS. Representatives from the Department of Homeland Security and IRS did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Undocumented immigrants pay billions of dollars in federal taxes every year by filing annual returns or having money withheld from their paychecks. Well, then I guess we should just let people break the law. I mean, if we're profiting off of crime, blatantly and directly, sure. Is that what does that have to do with anything? You know how all those billions could be offset by not sending billions and billions of dollars off to Ukraine, by not wasting millions and billions of dollars on unnecessary projects and USAID type things. I don't know. That little tidbit there doesn't really hold as much weight for me anymore as it might have a year ago or two ago. But even then, yeah, you want to profit off of illegal labor? Just read between the lines when they're talking about this stuff, and they try to make arguments about how, oh, these are the people who pay taxes. These are the people who, pick your food and grow your crops and everything else. Like, oh, that's great. Yeah, I should feel good about benefiting from exploited and illegal labor. Is that what you're telling me? I should feel good about my country profiting off of exploited and illegal labor. You know, I think there was a time in our country's past where that was the norm. And now we look back upon those times as unseemly. I've been told this before by many, many social justice and DEI advocates. I don't know. An estimated half, possibly more, of the roughly 11 million undocumented immigrants in the country file income tax returns to document their contributions to the United States, researchers say. Oh, well, I mean, if they can illegally work and, then also contribute money to the tax system, then I guess they can just buy their presence here. So we're for sale. Citizenship is for sale. Okay. Because most are ineligible for Social Security numbers, the IRS allows them to file with individual taxpayer numbers, known as ITINs, instead. Tax data can provide precise information about potentially undocumented immigrants, including their addresses, family structures, and bank and employment information, experts say. But even a taxpayer's name and home address are considered protected data under federal law, said Nina Olson, who was the National Taxpayer Advocate, the IRS's internal watchdog, from 2001 to 2019. Quote, these 700,000 names, do they sound like Jones and Smith, or do they sound like Rodriguez and Garcia? Said Dorothy A. Brown, who studies tax policy and racial disparities. I can study a racial disparity really easily. I can look at the population demographics of the country. Wow, look at those disparities. And what do those disparities tell me about anything? Nothing, except population numbers. But anyway, who studies tax policy and racial disparities at the Georgetown University Law Center, referring to the list the DHS sought to send to the IRS. Quote, this is racial profiling on steroids, unquote. Well, here's the thing, Dorothy A. Brown. If you find someone named Garcia and they are a legal citizen, then you move on. If you find someone named Smith, or perhaps Schmidt because they came from Germany and they're not here legally, you deport them. I don't know. Now, this isn't me advocating for releasing private information. This is the balancing act. It's like, you're securing your private documents and so on and so forth. Where is the line? Should there be an exception? I don't know. Does the law accommodate this? Doesn't sound like it. If something's going to change, Congress would need to act. I'm not so jazzed about government agencies taking extra judicial powers out of nowhere and operating in that way. Even if I might agree with them in spirit, that doesn't make it right or legal. A federal official who spoke on the condition of anonymity, of course, to discuss the sensitive issues, said ICE may view the IRS databases as valuable for pinpointing undocumented immigrants because tax returns often contain recent information such as current workplaces, names and ages of children, and home addresses. Yeah, no, I get that it's a valuable source of information, but is it lawful for you to access it? If the answer is no, then no. And if it should be yes, then go to Congress. This is how the process is supposed to work. If we run into an inconsistency or a contradiction or something, then we go through the process to make it different, if that is what the process allows. But anyway, ICE is tracking nearly 8 million undocumented immigrants in its deportation docket, but immigrants often do not update their addresses without the enforcement agency. Well, I'll tell you what, here's what you do instead. Instead of going to the IRS, you go find, a third-party debt collector organization. And you find all the skip tracers, the veteran skip tracers you can find, okay? And you recruit them, you deputize them into ICE for like a year or two, and they'll find them. Man, there are some skip tracers out there that are digital bounty hunters. They will find these people and figure out for you whether or not they're here legally or illegally or otherwise. There are other ways to get to individuals that you're curious about that you don't have to go to the IRS for. I'm telling you. Let's see. Sharing taxpayer information would mark a major reversal for the IRS. Many immigrants proudly file tax returns and save them in hopes that a record of paying taxes will bolster their efforts to apply for legal residency one day if Congress passes a law allowing it. You shouldn't be able to buy your way into citizenship. That is a can of worms I hope Congress never opens. On its website, the IRS says undocumented immigrants, quote, are subject to U.S. taxes in spite of their illegal status. Oh, man. The hypocrisy of it all. Undocumented workers' wages are subject to the same tax withholding and reporting requirements that apply to other U.S. residents. But working illegally is a risk. Workers and employers who hire them could face fines or criminal prosecution. Could, should, and hopefully will shortly. Even though the IRS doesn't share taxpayer information, the agency's criminal division has teamed up on investigations with the DHS in the past. Oh? That is a possible tactic for the new Trump administration, which is increasingly seeking to file criminal charges against immigrants who are in the United States illegally. Well, okay, so you just have to make being in the country illegally a crime, and then everything's good. Right. For instance, Homeland Security investigations and the IRS jointly investigated a human smuggling network that was funneling workers who were from Mexico, El Salvador, Indonesia, and Guatemala to Gracie's Chinese Cuisine, a restaurant in Evansville, Indiana. The investigation began in 2020 during Trump's first term and ended under Joe Biden's. The owner pleaded guilty to transporting and harboring undocumented workers and money laundering in 2022 and was sentenced to time served in order to pay a $30,000 fine and forfeit his truck. Wait a second. So this one restaurant was smuggling human beings for illegal labor from 1, 2, 3, 4 different foreign countries, and he had to pay $30,000 in a truck. The restaurant also pleaded guilty to unlawful employment of undocumented workers and was sentenced to 2 years probation and fined $15,000. Okay. I think I see your problem right here. Okay, tell me true, U.S. government, IRS, DHS. What is the difference between a restaurant owner smuggling human beings for unlawful labor and some scumbag pimp smuggling women from China for prostitution in the United States? I mean, mechanically speaking, what's the difference? How would you treat that guy as opposed to this restaurant worker? Are you kidding me? Okay, well, here's the thing. The penalties need to be harsh. As harsh as you would do to somebody smuggling people across the border who are part of a cartel or something. Give me a break. $45,000 in a truck and 2 years probation. Don't do anything naughty for 2 years. Is that restaurant still operating? Why is that restaurant still operating? Why are the owners still free? That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay, so yeah, a lot of things need to change. This is what I'm talking about. You need to disincentivize this down to the bone. You can't just give people slaps on the wrist for doing things that you would otherwise vilify and lock up for life in another circumstance. You need to send a message. You need to set an example. Otherwise, people are just going to keep doing it again and knowing, not thinking, knowing they can just buy themselves out of trouble if they do get caught. That's nonsense. Advocast Diablo, the IRS really has no leg to stand on. If they know or suspect someone of committing a crime or they are approached with someone who does, they should have to provide the info. There's some legalese here and some law tweaks that need to be made, I'm assuming. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having that article. There's some nuance here that I'm not aware of legally that needs to be clarified. You know, is being in the country illegally a high enough crime to meet the necessities or the prerequisites for this kind of interaction? I think it should be. It's a crime, but you're violating, national boundaries and such. Kate Roberts, cooks have strong hands, pimps have strong hands. Coincidence? I don't know. Could be. Let's see. Susanna, more concerned with my rights than criminals being here. Sorry. Yeah. Again, this has something. This is the finer details of the law that if they hadn't been refined or better enforced in the past, these are the things that need to be clarified, not just for the moment, but for the long term. And this is why things like what Trump is doing need to be tested. I had this conversation with my sister the other day when we were off and running. I hate executive orders. I do not like the idea of presidential kingly fiats that might test or create new law effectively. That seems un-American to me. However, the fact that they exist, the fact that they've been allowed to exist for as long as they have, is the fault of Congress. And Trump is just making use of the tools that have been provided the executive for years and years and years. And is he pushing limits by using them? Yes. Is he crossing lines by using them? Potentially. But these are the limits and the lines that have been allowed the executive by Congress for years. And so the question is, for all the complaining I'm hearing from the left on Trump's overreach and abuse and so on of executive power, well, if you don't like it, put limits on it. That's your job. Question is, will they? Because, as I've said before, any rule you make to limit the executive this time around is the same rule you're going to have limiting you when your guy is in office. So all of the bleating about Trump's executive orders and all of the other instances of Trump's government testing the boundaries of what is legal or lawful or permissible between agencies and so on. If he's pushing those boundaries, it's because those places to push exist, because those things haven't been tested or Congress hasn't plugged those holes over the years. So I'm glad, in a way, that Trump is ticking everybody off, because it's like, okay, well, let's look at that law, or let's look at that executive power. Should that be curtailed? Does that need to be refined? Does this ambiguity need to be clarified? Let's do that stuff. And let's see if anybody actually does. Let's see if they can get past their hypocrisy and actually say, golly gee, maybe we shouldn't have that avenue of power flexing in the executive or in the judicial or in Congress. Will anybody do anything about it? Because maybe they want that toy for themselves when their guy's in power. Anyway, just a small rant on that. Moving on. What was the other story? Oh, yeah, let's talk about Citigroup. Oh, Citigroup. I've talked about Citigroup in a DEI Death Watch a few days ago. But Citigroup is just showing how well they operate. Boy, oh boy. Now, would you have liked to have been this customer for like an hour? Citigroup mistakenly credited a customer account with $81 trillion. Johnny, tell them what they've won. $81 trillion. I think somebody forgot to carry the two. Oh, man. Citigroup erroneously credited $81 trillion instead of $280 to a customer's account and took hours to reverse the transaction, a quote-unquote near miss that shows up the bank's operational issues it has sought to fix, the Financial Times first reported on Friday. The error, which occurred last April, tell me it was April 1st, that'd be great, was missed by a payments employee and a second official assigned to check the transaction before it was cleared to be processed the next day, Financial Times said, citing an internal account and two people familiar with the event. So wait a sec. It went through two sets of eyeballs that didn't notice the, oh my gosh, how many zeros is that after? 6, 9, 12. Isn't that like 15 zeros? Something like that. I'm amazed that their system could allow that many digits to exist on someone's account. But then maybe things have changed since my day of working with financial things, because there was like an actual character limit that you couldn't exceed. That's why they had to reconfigure an entire system, because when the system was created, it couldn't imagine an account with over $999,999 in it. Oh boy. A third employee caught the error, well, third time's the charm, I guess, 1.5 hours after the payment was processed and the transaction was ultimately reversed several hours later. Okay, so two people missed it. It sat there for an hour and a half. Third person caught it and then took hours to reverse it. No funds left Citi, which disclosed the near miss. When a bank processes the wrong amount but is able to recover the funds to the Federal Reserve and the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the report said. Citi told Reuters in an emailed statement its detective controls promptly identified the inputting error between two ledger accounts and that it reversed the entry, adding the incident had no impact on the bank or the client. Two people with eyeballs missed 15 zeros in a person's account. What? It promptly identified okay. There were 10 near misses of $1 billion or more at Citi last year. Oh, well, they're up in their game to the trillions, down from 13 the year before. Oh, okay. According to an internal report seen by the Financial Times, Citi declined to comment to Financial Times on this report. Last month, Citi CFO Mark Mason said the bank is investigating more to address its compliance issues, referring to regulatory penalties for risk management and data governance. 81 trillion. Quote, we saw the need to invest more in the transformation on data, on technology, on improving the quality and the information coming out of our regulatory reporting, Mason said. Whatever that means. Last July, Citi was fined $136 million for insufficient progress in tackling those issues, and in 2020, it was fined $400 million for some risk and data failures. Boy, oh boy. And also, just so you know, Citi has, up until very recently, as far as I can recall, been very up on DEI. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Man. Yeah, the thing is, though, if that account holder had seen that, a balance on their account and tried to, cash any of it, they'd be up for crimes or something. They'd probably be arrested or penalized. 81 trillion. Good gravy. Let's see. Susano, I don't get how that would be even possible to transfer. Where did it come from? How could the system have allowed that? I mean, just on a mechanical basis, you would think, okay, setting aside the human beings and the eyeballs and stuff, I get human beings make mistakes. You would think there would be some kind of internal digit limit or something in there to say, hey, are you sure you want to process this transfer with this number? In my company's business, we have internal checks in the code when somebody is trying to purchase something or a total amount exceeds a particular number. We have a checkup, a little box that comes up and says, are you sure you want, this is the total you're going to be ordering. Do you want to proceed? just to make sure that somebody didn't click on the same thing 3 times, or there wasn't some kind of, just to make sure, before you set this in running, because once you set it running, the price is the price. So how is it that there's not something in there for, golly, if you're going to make a transfer of over, let's say, 7 digits, maybe then there should be a little pop-up window. I don't know. Anyway. Citibank, they've always been top performers, guys, except for the hundreds of millions of dollars they've had to pay out in fines for not being so. Well, let's talk about other people behaving badly for a moment, shall we? Although this is a bit more intentional, as far as I can tell. For those of you who are animal lovers, you probably won't like this next story. Just like me. Piglets will be left to starve in a controversial art exhibit in Denmark. Oh, is it controversial to commit rampant animal abuse? I guess so. Let's read. An artist in Denmark aims to raise awareness of the suffering caused by modern pig production with an art installation that opened Friday that includes 3 piglets who will be denied food and water and will starve to death. Okay, arrest this man now and put those piglets into nice homes on a farm somewhere. Chilean-born Marco Evaristi, if I'm saying that correctly, and I don't care if I'm not, is courting controversy to make a point about the treatment of pigs in Denmark by becoming the villain he hates, where about 25,000 piglets die daily as a result of the conditions in which they are bred. And so in order to, right this wrong, let's perpetuate that kind of cruelty. The central exhibit at Copenhagen's And Now You Care exhibition is a makeshift cage created with shopping carts containing 3 piglets. As the exhibition opened Friday evening, they were still fine, but they will not be given food and drink and can be expected to die of hunger within a few days. Evaristi says on his Instagram page that the exhibition, quote, is a confrontation with Denmark's bloody reality, unquote, in slaughterhouses, and that he urges people to reduce their meat consumption and support agriculture that improves animal welfare. Denmark's largest and oldest animal welfare organization, Animal Protection Denmark, says it is grateful for Evaristi's interest in the problem, but disagrees with how he wants to convey it. Oh, just disagree? You're not going to, go in there and free the piggies? Quote, we completely understand the indignation, unquote, of the artist, said Bridget Dam, a spokesperson for the organization. Quote, but we do not agree that 3 piglets, 3 individual living beings, should be starved and prevented from drinking until they die from it. It is illegal, and it is abuse of the animals, unquote. Yes. Quote, the fact that happens to thousands each day in the industry doesn't make it right, unquote, she said. Yes. But she also praised the artist for asking, quote, the large questions about who we are as human beings or want to be and what we are doing to fellow creatures in the name of enormous amounts of mass-produced cheap meat, unquote. Hey, I understand that you're effectively murdering by starvation and torture 3 innocent little piggies, but I get it. You're a great artist. Somehow I'm getting like Roman Polanski vibes here. Dam explained that sows are bred in the Danish pig industry to produce about 20 piglets at a time, but only have 14 teats, forcing the piglets to compete for breast milk and leading to the starvation of many. She said some 25,000 piglets die every day from starvation or the result of the conditions in which they are held in Denmark. It is not Evaristi's first controversial project. Oh, what did he do recently? One of his projects included goldfish in blenders, tempting viewers to press the button and create goldfish soup. I think this guy just might be a closet serial killer who's just masking his sociopathy in performance art. Maybe. In 2006, he used some of his own body fat removed via liposuction to prepare meatballs and then ate some of them. Okay. How many red flags do you need for this guy? He described that project called Polpet al grasso de Marco, unquote, as a critique on people over-consuming and then buying their way to slimness with liposuction, and at the same time an attempt to transcend the taboo of cannibal. Okay. Keep this man away from people and certainly other living creatures. Just don't. Just don't. You know, having some kind of sociopathic, insane person cloaking. If this is what he does in public, if this is the morality he thinks is worthy of putting on public display and inviting other people to engage in, maybe check up on this guy. I'm just saying. When there's smoke, there might be a erupting volcano. Whew. Yeah. Hey, I got to refer this guy to Mr. Black Pasta and Misery Machine, just to keep an eye on. Just to keep a couple. There might be a video documentary at some point in the future. I hope not, because that would mean that something more terrible has happened. But I'm just saying. Well, anyway, moving on from the inhumanity of piggies to the Humane Society scammers. I've seen some pretty low scamming setups before, if you ever watched Scammers Payback. But this seems, bottom of the barrel. Scammers impersonating Humane Society staff demanding money for fake pet emergencies. So if you were in the first story testing the limits of someone's conscience when it comes to the safety of animals, well, now you're taking advantage of it. Tacoma, Washington. The Humane Society of Tacoma and Pierce County has issued a warning to pet owners about a new scam targeting those searching for their lost pets. Scammers alleging to be Humane Society staff are reportedly calling the owners of lost pets using spoofed phone numbers that copy the legitimate phone numbers of the shelters. The callers tell the owners their lost pet has been critically injured, then pressure owners to send money for the emergency surgery to reclaim their pet, sometimes threatening to have the pet euthanized if the payment is not made. The Humane Society emphasized that they will never ask for large sums of money over the phone or threaten euthanasia if payment is not made. Quote, if you are ever unsure, hang up and call us directly, the Humane Society advised. If it is outside of our business hours, it is not us. The organization urged community members to spread the word to protect others from falling victim to this scam. Now, more information on the Humane Society for Tacoma and Pierce County can be found on their website. So, brief article, more just sort of a public service announcement. And especially when it comes to the elderly, I have had elderly relatives who have been taken in by scammers in the past. Or I should say, almost taken in. Like my grandmother at one point, that she was called up and convinced that my cousin, her grandson, was in jail, and she needed to wire $5,000 in order for him to get out of jail. And my grandmother, elderly and a little out of it because she's old, she got all the way down to the Western Union office, and thankfully the lady at the counter smelled a rat. And she stopped my grandmother from sending out this $5,000 and asked her to double check. How about you call your grandson first? And that cleared everything up, thankfully. But often it's not necessarily the case that you have somebody there to stop somebody who's been scared or doesn't have the control of their faculties. And especially when it comes to pay for your pet's life or we're going to kill it. Scum of the earth. These people, absolute scum of the earth. When I watch channels like Scammers Payback or NanoBeta or those guys, I wish more often that they were empowered or worked with. I wish they were had like an arrangement like To Catch a Predator did, where they're actually working with law enforcement to actually arrest or prosecute these guys as they're tracking them down. But more often than not, these guys are operating off in other countries with already corrupt police systems and everything. So all it can do is sort of like shame them online and try to mess with their computer systems, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not I'm not trying to diminish that effort, but it just never really feels like enough, never really feels like enough. Okay, what else do I have? Let me go to a story that came to me from over on the Discord server. And if I'm not mistaken, this came to me from Shadow Aria. Yeah, if you did not know, remember Andrew Cuomo? Remember, grandmother taker outer Andrew Cuomo from the lockdown days? Oh, well, Andrew, he wants to take a step down from governor to New York City mayor. Boy, oh boy. Okay, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who resigned amid scandals in 2021, has reemerged on the political scene as he aims to become New York City's next mayor, a position currently held by fellow Democrat Eric Adams. I realize the circumstances are far different, but I can't help but recall Anthony Weiner going from, was it congressman, and then trying to run for mayor after he, sort of failed out of congressman for scandals. Okay, Andrew. He might win. Who knows? Quote, "Our city is in crisis. That is why I'm running to be mayor of New York City," the former governor said in a post on his X account. "We need government to work. We need effective leadership." How was New York doing when you were governor, Andrew? How are things going under COVID when you were governor, Andrew? What about all the? There's more than just the specific scandals we'll probably talk about here. There were the grandmothers being moved into places where they could get infected with disease and die. Remember that part? Remember all the running around and dodging you have to do? I've got, where do I have it here? Hold on a second. I think I have in my file. I keep a file. I have a file on my computer that's all filled with Chris Cillizza hits. Things that I've collected over the years. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Was it there? Pardon me a second. I apologize. I really should organize these things more completely. Where is that one picture where he was like praising Andrew Cuomo? Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. Okay. Let me upload these real quick for display purposes. Pardon me a moment. Let's see. What do I want? I want overlay, and I want my Cillizza file. And okay, there we go. We want that one, and we want that one, and we want. Where's that other one? I had it here. I just saw it a second ago. Oh man, because when you go from like looking at it on your desktop to having to like find the file elsewise. All right. Well, anyway, I got two of them. Let's see. So from our favorite friend at CNN, Chris Cillizza, Andrew Cuomo may be the single most popular politician in America right now. Yay! Thrust into the national spotlight by his state status as the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in the United States. I thought the first case was like in Oregon or Washington State or something. Was New York the epicenter? I think New York made itself the epicenter. New York Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo has rapidly become one of, if not the single most popular politician in the country for his handling of the pandemic. That was on May 1st, 2020. No, but on April 9th, 2020, President Andrew Cuomo, what? Oh, but that was May and April. Boy, oh boy. Yeah, and then what happened? Oh, yeah, Andrew Cuomo's COVID-19 performance may have been less stellar than it seemed. Just about I think it was like 6 months or a year later. So oh yeah, we might have been jumping the gun on that one. Yeah, but now Andrew wants to run for mayor of New York City. Cuomo has announced his candidacy in a 17-minute video focusing on his success as governor legalizing same-sex marriage, rebuilding LaGuardia Airport, and leading the state through the COVID-19 crisis. Yes, leading the state through the COVID-19 crisis. That's really a feather he wants to put in his cap, does he? Okay, well, there you go, I suppose. Quote, New Yorkers know the simple answer of what to do when there is crisis in leadership. You lead, you act, you do. Cuomo said in the video, quote, "I had the honor to serve the public on every level of government. I know government can make a positive difference because we did." Yeah, positive body count in a lot of cases. Cuomo resigned from office in August 2021 amid sexual harassment allegations, which he denies. Current Governor Kathy Hochul, a fellow Democrat who had been Cuomo's lieutenant, inherited the job and was reelected the following year. Yeah, and how's that been working out for New York? Now, remember when Kathy Hochul was like, "Yes, we invite all immigrants to come here. We are an open state. We're a sanctuary state. To heck with you, Donald Trump." Yeah. The Justice Department found that the former governor subjected at least 13 women to a, quote, "sexually hostile work environment," unquote, while in office, the department announced in January of 2024. The department revealed its findings as part of an agreement to resolve its claims that Cuomo's office, quote, "engaged in a pattern or practice of sexual harassment and retaliation," unquote, in violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Oh my gosh. Enforcing the Civil Rights Act of 1964? I wish I heard that more often in other instances. The agreement acknowledged changes Hochul had made or had agreed to make in the office. Cuomo's attorney, Rita Glavin, said in a statement at the time that it was a, quote, "political settlement without an investigation." Maybe it should have been. Quote, "Governor Cuomo did not sexually harass anyone," Glavin said. Quote, "The DOJ investigation," quote unquote, "was based entirely on the New York State Attorney General's deeply flawed, inaccurate, biased, and misleading report. At no point did DOJ even contact Governor Cuomo concerning these matters." Wait, are you telling me that the DOJ was used for political purposes? Is that your accusation? Oh, okay. Cuomo enters a packed race to unseat Adams with deep pockets. Allies of Cuomo's campaign filed paperwork with the New York Board of Elections on Wednesday to create a super political action committee. A super political action? Wow. A super political action committee called Fix the City. Now, speaking of the Humane Society, well, let's not go there. The group aims to raise $15 million, that's all, which is more than double the amount raised by the super PAC supporting Adams during his 2021 campaign for office. I'm assuming not implying that this is the same super PAC that supported Adams, which is these. Okay. English there. Besides Cuomo, Adams' Democratic challengers included State Senator Zelnor Myrie. Zelnor Myrie? That sounds like the evil wizard from a fantasy book. Brad Lander, the city comptroller, State Senator Jessica Ramos, State Assemblyman Zoran Mamdani, former comptroller Scott Stringer, and Michael Blake, former state assembly member. Cuomo, whose father served as governor, was President Bill Clinton's Housing and Urban Development Secretary before being elected New York Attorney General and governor. Well, great. Thank you, Alan Filer, for the "How's it going, Dogcat Fox?" Dogcat Fox.
Wowee, wow.
Ooh, there's an irate Alex Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Alan. Appreciate it. Yeah, so good old Andy going to make another run for political office. He's done his time in exile. He's gone to rehab. They tried to make him go to rehab. He said, no. Now, wait a minute. Let's see over in the chat. With leadership like this, who needs enemies? As trite as that reads. Yeah, well, these are New York's options, I guess. Let's see. Carlos Alfredo Lopez. Various names with Z there, just missing Zendaya there too. I mean, well, might as well. I mean, Zendaya and Pedro Pascal might as well run for mayor of New York. They're in everything else lately. Why not in New York City politics? Kay Roberts, after Cuomo completes his term as mayor, does he run for dog catcher? I know, it's just constantly on a downslope. And it's like, dog catcher, or ASPCA chairman or something. Yeah. Let's see. And then they were like, Randy Marsh. No. I don't get the reference because I'm stupid. Wiener 2.0, but maybe with less dick pics, hopefully at least. Well, you never know. The one thing I keep remembering at the time when the scandals were coming out are these pictures of Andrew Cuomo Like he's walking around like some like white sort of polo shirt or whatever, and everybody's pointing out these interesting bumps on his chest. They're like, "There's his nipple rings," and I'm like, "Is that what I'm seeing?" But let's end this episode as we're coming to a close here with a heartwarming story out of academia. Shall we? Let's talk about the grand. Oh wait, before I do that, Shadowclaw, thank you so much for the #1 dog cat fox. Oh, dog cat fox.
Wowie, wow, wow.
Oh, there's a breathy Roan Harushan dog cat fox. Thank you so much, Shadowclaw. Appreciate it. Okay, here we go, guys. This might I haven't read the fullness of this story yet, but the headline alone makes me go, did Citigroup run this school? She graduated from high school with honors, but can't read or write. Now she's suing. Could you come up with a more amazing headline? This sounds like something you would have seen on the Weekly World News at the grocery store, waiting in line to get your Cheetos or something. Alicia Ortiz is 19 years old and dreams of one day writing stories and maybe even a book. That may sound like a reasonable aspiration for a teenager recently out of high school, but for Alicia, it will be much harder. Despite graduating last June from Hartford Public High School in Hartford, Connecticut, and earning a scholarship to college, Alicia is illiterate. She says she cannot read or write. Okay, two options here. Either she's telling the truth, which makes every moment of her scholastic advancement prior to this moment absolutely insane, or she's not telling the truth, which I assume would be easily shown. Many high school seniors feel proud and excited in the days before graduation, but Alicia tells CNN she felt scared. She graduated with honors, which usually means a student has demonstrated academic excellence. But after 12 years of attending public schools in Hartford, Alicia testified at a May 2024 City Council meeting that she could not read or write. She wasn't using pre-prepared statements, was she? No. Suddenly, she says, school officials seem concerned about awarding her a diploma. Okay, 2 days before graduation, she says, I do appreciate they have to keep, underscoring that this is all coming from her. She says, school district officials told her she could defer accepting the diploma in exchange for intensive services. Alicia didn't listen. Okay. Quote, I decided the school had 12 years, she said. It says, now it's my time. What? Alicia is now suing the Hartford Board of Education and the City of Hartford for negligence, as well as her special education case manager, Tilda Santiago, for negligent infliction of emotional distress. The board's chairperson, Jennifer Hockenhull, declined to comment on the lawsuit. So did Jonathan Harding, chief legal officer for the City of Hartford, who told CNN, quote, I generally do not publicly remark on ongoing litigation, unquote. CNN reached out to Santiago through her attorney, but did not receive a response. In a statement to CNN, Hartford Public Schools said, quote, while Hartford Public Schools cannot comment on pending litigation, we remain deeply committed to meeting the full range of needs our students bring with them when they enter our schools and helping them reach their full potential, unquote. But one educator says Alicia's story doesn't surprise him. Pardon me a moment while I wet my whistle. Jesse Turner, who runs the Literacy Center at the Central Connecticut State University, says the quality of special education in public schools often varies according to zip code and demographics. Oh boy, I know I'm triggered. I'm sensing some scholastic equity arguments coming here. A 2019 report from EdBuild, which promotes equity in public schools. Oh, I knew it. I knew. Can I call it? Oh. A 2019 report from EdBuild, which promotes equity in public schools, found majority non-white school districts in the U.S. get $23 billion less than districts that mostly serve white students. Minority enrollment in Hartford's public schools was at about 90% during the 2021 and 2021 to 2022 school years. Hey, I got a question. I know it's a crazy question, but setting aside the school's responsibility for a moment, where was this girl's parents? For 19 years, where was this girl's parents? Just curious. Quote, America should be asking a question. Do we really care about our children? All of our children, Turner asks. That I don't know. Let me ask you, are you for or against Roe v. Wade? Quote, quote, this is a sectional. She struggled as a bad child in school. Oh, okay. Alicia was born in Puerto Rico, where even as a toddler, she says she showed evidence of learning deficits. Her mother, Carmen Cruz, says she knew early on that her daughter needed help. Okay, and so once you realized this, what actions did you take as a responsible parent? Quote, I saw that she had a specific problem she had to deal with. I'm going to assume that that's some kind of like quasi problem in translation, because it says Cruz said in an interview with CNN that was translated from Spanish. Because if you saw that your daughter had learning difficulties as a toddler, that is something you need to deal with as the parent. Okay, when Alicia was 5 years old, Cruz moved her family to Connecticut, believing Alicia would receive better services for her learning difficulties. Okay, well, apparently in the interim 14 years, nothing happened, according to the story. But her struggles in school continued. This next sentence is cut off by the printing process. In first grade, Alicia had difficulty with letter, sound, and number recognition, okay, according to her lawsuit, and because her learning disabilities were not addressed, Alicia began acting out in class. Quote, I was the bad child, Alicia says. By the time Alicia reached the 6th grade, wait, how old are you in the 6th grade? That's like, what, 12? She says in the lawsuit, evaluation showed she was reading at a kindergarten or first grade level. How? So, and I'm not saying it's not true. I just want to make sure I understand this here. So from kindergarten is like 5 years old, right? Yeah. So from kindergarten through the 6th grade, her reading capabilities did not advance beyond a kindergarten or first grade level. So her 2nd grade teacher, her 3rd grade teacher, her 4th grade teacher, her 5th grade teacher, her 6th grade teacher, 5 individual adults, plus whoever was surrounding her, and her mother, just let this go by? High school was no better. What about junior high? Or am I missing something here? Okay. In her sophomore year at Hartford Public High School, Tilda Santiago became Alicia's special education teacher and case manager. The lawsuit alleges Santiago subjected Alicia, quote, to repeated bullying and harassment, unquote, including stalking her on school grounds. The suit also alleges Santiago belittled Alicia in front of teachers and other students and mocked her learning disabilities. Alicia says she reported the behavior to school officials, and Santiago was eventually removed as her case manager, quote, because of the dysfunctional relationship between them, according to the lawsuit. Alicia also says her mother advocated on her behalf and urged the principal and other school officials to do a better job of addressing her daughter's disabilities. A mother of 4, Cruz doesn't speak English and says she didn't go to school beyond the 8th grade. Oh, boy. Okay. Quote, I didn't know English very well. I didn't know the rules of the schools. There were a lot of things that they would tell me, and I let myself go by what the teachers would tell me because I didn't understand anything, unquote. By the 11th grade, when Alicia reported she still, quote, could barely hold a pencil, she began speaking up for herself. She says she knew if she were ever going to fulfill her dreams of becoming a writer or leading a normal life, she needed to learn how to read and write. Well, better late than never, I guess. In her senior year, some teachers suggested Alicia get tested for dyslexia, a learning disability that makes reading difficult because of an inability to recognize sounds and how they relate to letters and words. And in the 10 some odd years of schooling prior to this, it didn't occur to anybody else to ask these questions. Okay, again, either this is a most elaborate deception or the Hartford public school system is absolute shambles. Also, during her senior year, Alicia made a surprising announcement. She'd been accepted to the University of Connecticut and planned to attend in the fall. Why? What commended this student, setting aside whether or not that she was mistreated or misdiagnosed or whatever else, but just on the basic facts of the matter, what commended her to getting a scholarship at the University of Connecticut? Just 1 month before graduation, Alicia says she finally began receiving the additional testing she had been asking for. The evaluations were not completed until the last day of high school, the lawsuit states. So that's perfect timing. The testing revealed Alicia still, quote, required explicitly taught phonics, fluency, and reading comprehension, unquote. Phonics is typically first taught in kindergarten. Alicia had previously been diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, ODD, unspecified anxiety disorder, and unspecified communication disorder. The new testing also revealed she had dyslexia as well. Well, she's just batting 1,000. And all on the last day before high school graduation for a dramatic sectional. I just see words everywhere with no meaning. Last fall, Alicia enrolled at the University of Connecticut as a full-time student taking 2 classes. She wants to study public policy. How? Why did they accept her? Not as some penalty or something for who she is, but if she can't read or write, what is she shouldn't be going to the University of Connecticut. She'd be going into like intensive like learning classes or something, or remedial math or not math, language arts or something. What? I'm so my brain is just, how the hell did this happen? If any of this is true, what? So how did Alicia become a college student who can't read or write? I'll tell you how. Affirmative action philosophy. The same way she got through high school, she says, by relying on apps that translate text to speech and speech to text. So every time there was a test or an exam or something, she was sitting there with her smartphone, having everything read out to her in class. And every teacher, she had a smartphone in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, just reading stuff out to her, and nobody thought to say, no, you can't use that in class for a test. And she used the technology to fill out her college application, including writing an essay. Okay, so she lied. She cheated. Whatever disservice that she had been subjected to prior to this, that's cheating. That's lying. She also got help from other people on navigating the process and received several financial grants and scholarships to pay for UConn by committing scholastic fraud. The apps gave, quote, me a voice that I never thought I had, she said. Well, yeah, if you have a machine do all the writing, the thinking for you, yeah, no, you can fake having abilities. You're not going to say anything about the rampant deception of that process, CNN, at all? Just matter of fact. Oh yeah, no, she used an app to write her essays for her. Alicia says her teachers mostly just passed her from one grade to the next in elementary and middle school. By the time she reached high school, she'd figured out how to use the technology to fulfill her assignments. When most teenagers were hanging out at the mall, going to school events, or going on dates, Alicia says she was spending 4 to 5 hours a night doing homework. You mean having her cell phone do her homework for her? Alicia says she'd record all of her classes on her cell phone, then later replay everything her teachers said. She used her laptop's voice-to-text tool to search the definition of each word, and then turn that text into audio she could understand. Once she grasped the assignment, she'd speak the answer, turn it into text, and then cut and paste the words into her homework. Well, how could she know where to put the word? Because of her limited vocabulary and speech impediment, the translation was not always accurate or grammatically correct, she says, but using the technology helped raise her grades from C's and D's to A's and B's, she adds. I mean, if this is true, and I'm going to predicate everything with if this is true because this sounds incredible, I admire her ingenuity in solving a problem with the tools that she had at hand. At the same time, she's effectively committed scholastic fraud. This is to be rewarded or encouraged? She said she would start her homework as soon as she got home from school and finish each night at 1 or 2 a.m. before getting up at 6 a.m. to take the bus to school. And this happened so frequently, her mother never had any concerns, never told her teachers about this. She never told her teachers that she was having to do this. Alicia demonstrated for CNN how she uses the app. She chose a passage from a book, took an image of it with her phone, and then played the phone audio reading the passage aloud to her. When asked if she could read the passage from the book, Alicia told CNN, "It's impossible. I just see these words everywhere with no meaning," unquote. Alicia says college has been very difficult. I am not surprised. UConn is providing academic support, but she hasn't attended classes since February 1st. She says she took some time off to get mental health treatment, but plans to return soon. Okay, this is utterly insane on so many levels. Alicia's lawsuit comes as President Donald Trump is taking steps to get rid of the Federal Department of Education, saying he wants to stop the abuse of your taxpayer dollars to indoctrinate America's... Whoa, wait a second. Hold up. What does that have to do with anything? The proposed move would gut the agency's staff and leave the funding and education of students to states and local municipalities. What has it been doing for this girl for the last 10 years? What are you talking about? What? Oh, you know this public education system that has been so deficient in its responsibilities that it has allowed this girl to get all the way to college on scholarships without being able to read or write. Oh, well, now that Trump's in office, now suddenly he's going to do something that has absolutely nothing to say about the last 10 or 12 years of this girl's education. What are you... Please, CNN, tell me, what the heck does this have to do with the rest of it? Turner, the Connecticut educator, says shutting down the DOE is a bad idea. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe if this girl can get all the way to college while being illiterate, maybe something needs to change. He argues that if you put the responsibility of funding children's education in the hands of each state, not all states will do the right thing. What the hell has... The Hartford public school system, if this story is to be believed, what were they doing the right thing for the last 12 or 15 years or whatever? What am I missing something here? Have I completely lost the plot? Quote, how do I protect the special education children? Who do I go to? Unquote, he says. Well, obviously not the DOE funded and or assisted Hartford public school system. Turner adds that the DOE is where schools, students, and parents go to lodge a complaint because, quote, they have to investigate. Well, where was the DOE the last 12 years of this girl's scholastic education? Blah! What are you arguing for here? I have lost it. My brain cannot square this circle. Alicia says she is taking legal action because school leaders, quote, don't know what they're doing and don't care, unquote, adding that she wants them to be held accountable for what she says she experienced. She is also seeking compensatory damages. Compensatory, pardon me. My enunciation failed me. Compensatory damages. I needed to reach back to my listening to old people's court stuff for a second there. Cruz, Alicia's mother, who I am not, in the abstract sense, letting off the hook for her responsibility in the situation, tells CNN she is speaking out now about her daughter, quote, so other people in my position don't have to go through the same thing, unquote. Well, I mean, you only had, since she was 5 years old, to speak out. You just put her in the hands of people who, at least allegedly, were completely incompetent and years and years and years of not seeing any improvement. I mean, did you at least teach her Spanish and how to read Spanish by any chance? If you didn't know English, there was nothing in the household about trying to teach her anything? Okay. As she looks back on her 12 years in the Hartford public school system, Alicia says she feels sad that she wasn't taught to read and write. If this is true, I'm sad you weren't taught to read and write. Everybody who passed you along should lose their job. She also says she will continue to speak out because she believes her city schools can do better. Well, I believe they can do better too, but they'll need to, get rid of everybody who's running them. Quote, I'm a very passionate person, and I like to learn, she says. Again, if her method for getting around her illiteracy is true, that's pretty creative. I'll grant her that. But it's also deceptive. Quote, people took away that opportunity for me to learn, and now I'm in college, and I want to take advantage of that, because this is my education, unquote. There is so much wrong with this story. So wrong. It broke my brain. It broke my brain. I forgot how to say compensatory. That's how bad it was. Let's see. Jill Powers. I sponsored our English Honor Society as faculty sponsor for 7 years, the cream of the crop, no DEIs, and they had to read projects during their induction luncheons. Yeah, it's if a kid, I don't understand how many layers of checks. It's almost like that Citibank thing with the $81 trillion. Went through 2 sets of eyeballs and still got passed. How does a little girl who can't demonstrate basic reading comprehension make it all the way through high school? Look, I could see, because I've seen it, I could see a certain mentality, a certain attitude overtaking an individual school place, right? Like, that elementary school over there is run by this person or by these people, and they have a philosophy or they have a temperament that would allow these kind of things to take place. and that could bleed over into individual teachers and classrooms. Okay, but once you leave that school, once you leave elementary school, you go on to middle school. Now you got a whole different set of people, a whole different way of running things, and yet all of these checks, balances, and potential filters for helping this girl, all of them failed? All of them just passed her along? And at no point did anybody say, hey, this is some great homework you've handed in. Can you tell me why you answered this one here, pointing to it on the paper? Never had to take a test in class, never had to do a writing assignment, a reading assignment, a book report, anything. Really? Like in class, in person, demonstrating before the teacher that you had some grasp of these skills? And it didn't raise a red flag with any teacher? I don't know, man. Let's see. Susanna, you would have been identified fast back in the 80s, quick in my state. I'm trying to think back to my education, like my early grade school education. And we had to read sentences in class. We had to write things on the chalkboard. We had to turn in writing assignments that we did right there in the classroom, writing them on our little desk and handing them to our teacher. All types of stuff. When she got apps and stuff to do like take-home assignments, okay, I guess. You can kind of fake your way through that. But all the way through elementary school, no in-class quizzes or tests or anything? She was just passed along or given a waiver? That's nuts. Shards of words. Was she the most annoying person ever and they just wanted her out? But multiple schools, Wolf Buzz's girlfriend. Wolf Buzz's girlfriend. I don't know what that means. Is that some slang I'm missing? Probably. Yeah. Did she cover her inability to do those things by acting? Was that it? Was that her strategy? It's like, okay, class, now we're going to have a pop quiz. Okay, you need to go down to the principal's office. Was that her grand plan to get out of having to show off that she didn't know what she was doing? You'd think a teacher would catch a pattern at a certain point, if that were the case. Maybe all the teachers at Hartford Public Schools are just morons or lazy or irresponsible or incompetent. Yeah. Malachi D. Wildman, Hartford had no exit exam or allows the use for phones. Yeah, there's so many. I have so many questions about how she got this far with that. The amount of negligence and or incompetence and or just outright academic corruption that would need to be in place, teacher to teacher, official to official, curriculum to a curriculum throughout all of her years in public school. It had to have been green lights all the way. For her to get all the way to her college graduation before there was a problem stated and get scholarships to a university, that's nuts. And for whatever sort of innocent action you might be able to attribute her trying to get around the problem when she was a little kid, when you're applying for scholarships and you lie on your applications about your capabilities, I think those scholarships need to be rescinded. I don't know. There comes a point where it's like, okay, well, there's you trying to get around the malfeasance of the adults around you, and then there's you as an adult lying on an application for free money. I don't think that should be rewarded. Maybe she gets a scholarship to a special needs education program, but to a full-on 4-year college, university? No, come on. Jill Powers, when I first substituted, my first sub gig was in an inner city middle school. The teachers there were complete boneheads, had spelling errors on spelling posters in the classroom. Yeah, like I say, I mean, I could see a school or a school district having just lax standards for teachers. I mean, if that's what happened, I mean, again, I'm trying to couch my reactions here. Well, if this is true, because this sounds incredible, but if this is honestly true, if the Hartford Public School District was so just threadbare of standards or care, then yeah, they need to be overhauled completely. If this girl was able to get all the way up to and through high school and as well get scholarships for college with no one either knowing or caring about this lack of ability, then I think this is sort of like the keystone falling out of the bridge for that school district, which again makes me even more baffled as to why the article writer would bring up Trump's actions towards the DOE. What the heck does that have to do with anything? If this is true, the failures of the Hartford Public School District are endemic to the Hartford Public School District and have been going on for many, many more years than Trump in the last 2 months talking about overhauling the DOE. Good gravy. Susano, kids are kids. They're going to make mistakes. So what? It's the adults in their life that have. Yeah, no, I have less antipathy towards the student, whatever I might say about the scholarship part of it. That's like a whisper on a screen as compared to all the other problems of the adults in her life. Yeah, every teacher, every administrator, her own mother, any other adults in her life that are in authority position, any other family members. That's insane. Absolutely insane. Duck Dog, empathy, it's super rampant. It's super effective. Yeah. K. Roberts, in 80s vernacular, this is the most redneck hick outcome of a deep blue Yankee school institution. Sounds like it, doesn't it? And Advocast Diablo, the Hartford schools are focusing on what the Fed DOE wants them to do, though, all to get that funding. Right. And one more here from Shadow Claw. Scribelight, sadly, public schools in Connecticut and Massachusetts, or is that Massachusetts? Or Maine? I swear I'm not up on my state abbreviations. Do not care about their students. They just shove them through until the student is arrested, dead, or is pulled out or expelled. As long as they can count the student towards, I guess, their tax payoffs or something, right? Massachusetts. Okay, I knew it was in there somewhere. Yeah, Maine is. MN? Or no, that's in Minnesota. I don't know. I'm an English major, not a geography major. What do I know? Okay, here we go. MA is Massachusetts. ME is Maine. MI is Michigan. That's right. And MN is Minnesota. Okay. Someday I'll master geography. I'm deficient in my geographical knowledge. That's the problem. I can still point to where Zimbabwe is on a map, though, if that helps. Anyway, everybody, that is the Sunday stream for this Sunday. Thank you all for joining me. There will be, I'm already starting to collect them because they keep coming out. There will be a DEI Death Watch on Monday. That's tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. So look out for that tomorrow. I've already got 2 big stories on that one. A story that we might be covering on Midnight's Edge in the morning tomorrow, if I end up on that show tomorrow, which I should. But I'll double up on it for DEI Death Watch. Also, do you know I have a Discord server? I have a Discord server. Link to the Discord server is in the chat right now. All you have to do is click on that link. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to say the secret word. The secret word will tell me you are not a bot. Have watched the stream and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the entitlement to join the Discord server. And today's secret word is Hartford. Just say, hello, Hartford, and I'll know that you watched the show. Also, hello, Walter Tomaszewski. Oh no, I missed the stream. Well, you missed it live, but it'll always be here for you. That sounds like a greeting card or something, or maybe like a Folgers coffee commercial. Let's see. Beyond that, everybody, if you leave a like on the way out, I'd appreciate it. Or a dislike if you didn't like the show. I appreciate the interaction either way. If you're watching the show in the future, if you got something you'd like to say, leave a comment, because I do read the comments, and I appreciate it when you guys have something you want to add to the conversation, as it were. Programming note, again, I'll be here tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern for the next episode of DEI Death Watch. Got a couple of big stories, probably more stories by the time I get to it tomorrow. I should also be on Midnight's Edge in the morning tomorrow at 9:05 a.m. Pacific time, noon 05 p.m. Eastern time. Talk about box office. Oh boy, how did Captain America do this previous weekend, this current weekend? Because it's still the weekend right now. I guess we'll find out tomorrow, along with all other types of Hollywood news. And then, of course, Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, you can find me here for TED Excellence, where I'll take a look at another off-brand TED Talk, maybe not a super secret TEDx talk like the last one with Tess Holliday. If you haven't seen that one, check that out. That was tons of fun. But outside of that, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, link at the top of the chat box. Thank you guys so much for your generosity. Very much appreciated. Elsewise, everyone, have a good rest of your Sunday and weekend. I hope you have a good week ahead of you. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.